as cow stealing. I'm also the managing editor of my show, and when we're going to have a story in my program, like you do, I evaluate who are the experts that are going to be talking, and if I see that somebody's so far-fetched and says something so crazy as that comment, that person will not be in my show because he has no credibility.
Maria, do you, I can't believe one, are you saying that you've never made a mistake on your
Of course, but I admit them.
You know the
I admit them, and
I
I admit them, not like you did in 60 Minutes where you said, I stand by thing, this is a factual information. I would just give the benefit of the doubt. I said, well, maybe we made a mistake. Let me look into it. That's what I would say.
By the way, by the way, I wish I had said. Don't doubt that for a moment. And frankly, I don't know about you, but I probably erred in protecting my correspondent as much as I did, and that is also a reflex. And for that, I both regret it, and at the same time wish I'd phrased it differently. But the point is, are you saying that you know the background of every person that you put on your air, that you've never made a mistake? Because you're a far better
Absolutely not. I would never claim that.
Mistakes.
No, I would never claim that. But if it's going to be something so controversial, I will try to look into it.
Maria, it's time for you to let me speak now, please.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. One, the woman, and I don't recall her name, that was referred to in an ad lib, and I think it would be nice if you acknowledge to your audience that occasionally something is said on a set in an ad lib that has not been screened by editors, and that often that we wish we had not said. But the reality is that same woman who was writing in the Journal of Physicians and Surgeons, as I recall that was the name of the publication, had an authoritative standing. We did not know her background. If any one of my God, do you think any one of our people is that either stupid or insensitive that we would have put that person on the air had we known that? Let me tell you how ironic it is, because the left has tried to use an extraordinary amount of propaganda around this. The New York Times ran her obituary later, and it was a glowing obituary. The New York Times did not know about that horrific, racist, vile position that she had taken and the statements that she had made. So, we weren't exactly alone in that, in not knowing her background. And obviously, for God's sake, if we had known that, she would have been absolutely not part of that broadcast.
Well, granted, we all make mistakes, and I'm glad that this was clarified, that you see it as a mistake. Okay, moving along.
Absolutely.
The immigrant community has also been very offended by your frequent portrayals of undocumented immigrants as criminals. You stated in March 2008, and this is a quote, that just about a third of our prison system is made up of illegal aliens. And according to the U.S. Department of Justice, non-citizens represent only a tiny proportion of the U.S. Prison population, 6% to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still stand by?
I believe that we corrected that as well. But that number again, and I'm going to have to go back, I believe was based on a projection of the federal prison population, not the state prison population.
Well, it would still be, in that case, it would be 1/4, not 1/3 of the prison population. But anyway.
It was actually 27%. You could round it either to 25% or 30%. If you want to claim that I made a rounding error, I plead guilty. It's 27% or 30%. Either way, if you prefer that we round it to 25 and call it 1/4%. This seems to be now to be on this, on its face, quibbling, Maria, and I don't think we need to do that. There are lots of substantive issues we could talk about, but this is your show, and I will defer to you. Okay, well, let's talk about something else that has to do with incarcerating undocumented immigrants. You have praised on many occasions the work of Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, known for his massive and frequent raids of Hispanics in his county. And in the process, he has violated the civil rights of many immigrants. You are aware that he is under federal investigation by the Department of Justice for violating the civil rights of many immigrants. Do you still feel that he is a model for the whole country, as you stated in April of 2007? So that statement goes back 3 years. This is
it doesn't matter. These are things that you have
One.
said that are important and that they're inflammatory,
Yes,
and that they
I
promote
said,
hatred against
Maria,
undocumented.
may I
immigrants.
respond?
Yes.
May I respond?
Yes.
I truly believe that if he has violated anyone's civil rights, that is a matter for adjudication and prosecution. And if that is the case, then he or anyone else should certainly be prosecuted. I happen to believe that the current investigation that has been initiated by the Justice Department smacks of, frankly, a kangaroo sort of court antic in that it involves Acorn and Bertha Lewis, the CEO of that group that's under investigation itself, and at the instigation of 4 committee chairmen in the U.S. Congress. And but I'm perfectly happy to let the process go forward, and the sheriff says he feels very good about it and has been exonerated of any wrongdoing in every instance in previous years in which there was any discussion.
Well,
so I mean, that's where it is.
Well, this is a man that has clearly violated civil rights of undocumented immigrants. He has made them live in inhuman conditions.
Well, you say it's clearly, but
well,
if I may, Maria,
let me give you the examples.
It has not been, because the investigation isn't even finished. And let me say again.
Well, but beyond the investigation.
Let me please. The sheriff has said repeatedly that he is not picking up people simply for entering the United States illegally. There has to be another crime involved, as I understand it. Now, the issue of civil rights, to my knowledge, he's never been found guilty or charged with anything by the U.S. Justice Department, Homeland Security, Immigration Customs Enforcement, or any other agency. If you have knowledge to contradict that, I will certainly defer to you. I know of no such charge by any federal agency whatsoever in all of the years that he's been there. And if indeed there is such a charge and he's found guilty of it, what more could one say than that is justice being done?
Okay, the reason why I ask is because he has said, I mean, since you have praised his work, part of his work has been doing things like making the inmates, the detainees, wear pink underwears and pink uniforms, which is a humiliating thing.
Maria, that isn't illegal immigrants.
No.
That's every single person in his jail.
It started with the undocumented immigrants, but
it started with them.
It started with them, and then it was translated to the rest of the population.
Because
but regardless of that, you cannot.
Was it started.
That's a completely different debate, because there's an issue also with mixing.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here. By the way, Maria, I'm really not going to even get into the conversation of who started wearing pink underwear first in Sheriff Arpaio's jail.
Neither am I. But the point is that when it comes to undocumented immigrants, he's made them live in situations that are basically inhuman. Out in the open with intense that they have to face the cold winters and the hot summers of Arizona. And he's made many undocumented immigrants parade change gang in the streets of Phoenix, which reminds us of the times of the slaves, which is a humiliating situation. It's a cruel and unusual punishment, which is basically prohibited by the United States Constitution, and I think that's wrong. So I want to bring that up to your attention to see if that makes you change somehow your statement that this was a role model for our society.
I didn't say it was a role model for society at no time, in any place, anywhere, anyhow. So that is utterly wrong, and now you need to make a correction. And number 2, I think that your concern about cruel and unusual punishment is well placed at any time. I do not think that should stand on this side of the border or the other. But meanwhile, you and I have been speaking for 19 minutes, and I was delighted to join you at your and to accept your invitation to be here. But you and I have just spent 19 minutes going over the very rhetoric and that really has nothing to do with moving forward. I have no problem with doing that. But I think that it's about time for people to set aside their ideological point of view and whatever their agendas may be and start talking, Maria, honestly and forthrightly about the issues of illegal immigration. Who is responsible for illegal immigration? What can we do together in this country and others to deal with the tremendously important issue of illegal immigration